Well, we are going back to life skills. If you remember, when you started, you did managing, work, having a godly work ethic. Then you covered time. Then you covered money. Then you switched and went to life purpose discovery. Because we wanted the foundation of work and money and time. For at least those of you who are here at Nana's house, you needed to know that as you began these classes and began living here. Then you covered life purpose discovery, and you're going to go back and have one more session at the end of next week on that about careers. Because I know many of you are still working on careers and need to manage that. So we're going back to life skills, and I want to just kind of put all this together. You're looking at your life purpose discovery. The question in all your minds is, now that I'm out of Form 4, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my life, right? So, you're asking that question. And all the things you covered in life purpose discovery about your design, your strengths, your weaknesses, your passions, what God's been preparing you for. And even, how do you get revelation? How do you know what your calling is? How do you put all those puzzle pieces together? But life skills are what we call soft skills. Have you heard of that? Soft skills? Soft skills are things that you learn, that you can do, and you know, it's not a strength. It's not how you're hardwired for success. It's not even knowledge. But it's the things you're going to do that are going to help you be successful or not. That's why they're called soft skills. Evans and Jessica are studying computers. There are hard skills that they have to have. They have to know how to use a computer. They have to learn all kinds of hard skills in order to be successful in the computer world. But then there's a lot of soft skills that will either help them do that, or they may not be a success because they don't know how to do it. So, the things we're going to cover then, this week and next week, are soft skills that, depending on the choices you make, depending on what you do with your life, will either help you with your future or not. Okay? Are you getting the difference and how all this kind of fits together? Okay, so today we're going to look at health. Your health. Because you know what? It doesn't matter how smart you are, or what education you have, or what fantastic job you get. If you get sick and die, there is no more. Or maybe you don't die, but you get sick and you can't really work. You can't function. You can't go to your job. You can't take care of your wife. You can't take care of your children. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. So let's look at how we can take care of the body that God has given us. Now, I put these two pictures up here because I think you're all familiar with spacesuits, right? Maybe you've seen pictures of the astronauts when they go up into outer space. Maybe you've seen movies about astronauts wearing the spacesuits when they're going to the moon, or they're, going to other planets in the future, movies like that. But do you know that this is your earth suit? This is your earth suit. You can touch your body right now and say, this is my earth suit. You know, if you go into outer space, you have to wear a spacesuit or you will die immediately. But this is the only suit that we've been given for our whole life. You only get one. Now, modern medicine is learning how to replace some of the pieces. You know, if you get a bad knee, you can have a knee replacement. They'll give you a new knee. If you get an arm cut off, they can give you an artificial arm. They can even do heart transplants and lung transplants and kidney transplants. So there's some parts of the body they can transplant. But they can't give you a whole new suit. They can't give you a whole new body. And there's lots of parts in the body they can't fix still. So let's look at what we can do with it. Again, just a reminder, this is the body you were born with. And in design, you talked about maybe even some of the problems you've had from birth, or problems you've got with your body now. Or not even a problem, but just we're all different. We have different skin colors. We have, some are tall. Jerry's really tall. I'm really short. Okay? Jerry and I were comparing our hand size on Sunday. I mean, Jerry, you could be a pianist because your fingers are so long, you could easily play the piano. I took piano for years, and I still can't play the piano because my fingers are so short I can't reach. So those are some things with our bodies that may be weaknesses or strengths or limitations, or just things we have to excel. Some have good eyes, some have bad eyes. Some can hear really well, some can't. All kinds of differences. But this is the body we've got to work with. This is what you get to work with the rest of your life. It was the gift that God gave you when you were born. Now, not only was your body the gift that you got when you were born, but if you've given your life to Jesus, then when you were reborn, you also became the temple of the Holy Spirit. 1 Corinthians 6, 19 and 20. And some of these things are not on your notes. So you may want to jot some of this down, because some of these first parts were not on there. It says, do you not know? Paul is saying, what? Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God, and that you are not your own? For you have been bought for a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body. So not only is this your earth suit that you get to wear for the rest of your life, but when you give your life to Jesus, the Holy Spirit comes to live inside of you. And so this body is not just a body. It becomes a temple. A temple. It's a place of worship. Jesus is living inside of you by the power of the Holy Spirit. So we've been bought with a price. We're supposed to glorify God in this body, not just do whatever we want to do with it, not just take it wherever we want to go, not just say or do whatever we want with this body, but we're supposed to glorify God with it. Now, the other thing that's important to know about your body is that your health is a partnership. A partnership. You know what a partnership is. I mean, you got two people, maybe they've made a deal with each other and they've shaken hands, maybe they've done a contract together, but they're in a partnership. They've made a deal that each of those partners have to do their part, right? Well, we ask God to do His part all the time. I want you to think about it. Every time we go somewhere, we ask God to protect us, right? God, I'm going to be traveling, or I'm going on the bus, or I'm going on the matatu. Protect me. Protect me. When we're sick, we ask God to heal us. Even before we're sick. If you pray over your food every day before you eat it, you're asking God to take that food, you're thanking Him for that food, and you're asking Him to use that food for what your body needs. It's the fuel. It's the vitamins. It's what your body needs to work. So we're asking God for protection, safety, strength. A lot of times we say, God, I'm tired. Whether it's facing exams, whether it's doing hard physical labor, we need strength. So we ask Him for all that stuff because He's the only one that can give it, right? But God wants us to do our part. Now see, that's God's part. God's part is what only God can do. God's the only one that can protect us. God's the only one that can heal us. God's the only one that can strengthen us. But God wants us to do our part. And so we're going to look today at what's our part. Because our part is things like drinking water, eating healthy, exercising, sleeping well, knowing what to do in emergencies, as well as just stuff in everyday life. Because if we don't do those things, you're not going to need your earth suit for very long. Because you're not going to be here. Okay? If you want your earth suit to last 70, 80, 90 or more years. One of my grandmothers lived to be 92. My other grandmother lived to be over 100. So, if you want your earth suit to last that long, you got to take care of it. It's not going to just last that long by itself. So we need to partner with God. So let's look at some real quick facts. I know you got a lot of notes there, and all of this is on your notes about water. Because one of the things I've found is that most people don't drink enough water. And Kenyans really don't drink enough water. I admit I didn't drink enough water when I was a kid. You know, I don't know if my family didn't know about drinking water. I don't know. But we like to drink everything else except water. You know, as a kid, you drink milk or you drink juice. We liked iced tea. Kenyans like hot tea. In America, we drink a lot of hot tea. The adults drank coffee. And then we loved sodas. So we drank a lot of Cokes and things like that. I just hardly ever drank water because I didn't know any of this. And it was really when I met my husband when I was 14, and he said, "You need to drink water." That was the first time anybody even told me I was supposed to be drinking water. I thought water, it doesn't have any taste. I mean, it's blah. Why drink water? If I could have Coke or water, oh my gosh, I'm going to pick a Coke every time. Okay? I didn't know what was so good about water and what was so bad about Cokes. So, let's drink to our good health, okay? Let's look at some facts about water. First of all, 70% of your body is water. Think about that. I don't know about you, but we think of the bone, we think of the muscle, but 70% of it is water. You know what that means? That means if you're not drinking enough water, your earth suit is in trouble because it's not going to get that water by itself. It's just not. You've got different percentages there on your notes of all the organs in the body. Look at that. Kidneys. Your kidneys need 83% water. Your lymph system, which is what cleans the toxins out of your body, 94% water. Your joints, your elbows, your knees, your ankles, everywhere there's a joint, your hip joint, 83%. Your lungs, 80%. Muscles, 75%. Bones, even bones. I think of bones as being, hard like a rock. But almost a quarter of our bones is still water. 22%. Blood, of course, that's a liquid, 83%. Skin, 64%. Your liver, 86%. Your brain, 75%. Your heart, 79%. If you don't have enough water in your body, all of these are suffering. All of them are trying to work. Your heart's trying to pump. Your lungs are trying to breathe. Your blood's trying to move. It doesn't have enough water. Doesn't have enough. There's some reasons on your notes listed. Here's some reasons to drink more water. Again, 75% of your brain is water. Do you know what that means? I am convinced about this. The schools complain about how the students are not learning, are not thinking, are not doing well on their homework, are not performing well on exams. You know what? If you don't have enough water, and I might add clean water, if you don't have enough water to drink, you're not thinking good. If you are Albert Einstein, if you are a genius, if you are brilliant, if God gave you this way above average brain and you don't have enough water, you may be performing fairly dumb and not doing well because you can't think. Your brain is trying. It's trying, but it can't. Water regulates your body temperature so that it can keep you warmer or cooler depending on what you need. It protects your heart. It makes your skin look younger and healthier. I'm 70 years old, guys. I'm 70. I think you would agree that my skin looks better than most Kenyan women. There's a lot of reasons for that, but water is one of them. It helps you burn fat. Your body needs a certain amount of fat, but when somebody's getting bigger and bigger and fatter, they're needing to burn that fat or they're going to risk heart attack, stroke, diabetes, other problems. And their body can't even burn the fat it needs to get rid of because it doesn't have enough water. It prevents constipation in your bowels. You eat food, it needs to be eliminated. It can't do that well if you aren't drinking enough water. Sometimes we're just tired. Have you ever just felt tired? You're just fatigued. One of the main reasons is just that you need water. Again, your body's trying to function. It's trying to work and it can't. It needs the water to carry the oxygen to your cells. That's what your body has to have if it's going to function. It flushes the toxins out of your body. You know, if your body's not getting rid of toxins, that can cause cancer and other diseases. And it's just because you didn't drink water. It helps you control your calorie intake. Sometimes we feel hungry. We think we're hungry, but we're not really hungry. Our body is wanting water. It's saying, water, give me water. And we think, oh, I'm hungry. No, water. Okay, you can read some of the other statistics there on your notes, because water also supports cell growth and reproduction, protects organs and tissues. It moistens your eyes, your nose, your mouth. It makes hormones and neurotransmitters that you need in your brain. It's a shock absorber for your brain and your spinal cord. You know, there's a lot of things, whether we're running, whether we fall, that your body is needing a shock absorber so that you're not hurt. And especially your spinal cord and brain needs that. And it's the water that provides that. It reduces the risk of heart attacks, which is especially important as you get older, although more and more young people are having heart attacks too. Statistics show that 75% of Americans, I don't have statistics on Kenyans, 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated. But let me tell you what, if Americans are dehydrated, I know Kenyans are, because you just don't drink. I see a Kenyan will drink a cup of tea for breakfast, maybe have a little water after lunch, have 4 o'clock tea. I mean, where's the water? Where's the water? Drinking 5 glasses of water daily decreases the risk of colon cancer by 45%. Just drinking 5 glasses of water a day cuts the chance of colon cancer almost in half. It can slash the risk of breast cancer by 79%. And if you drink 5 glasses of water a day, you're 50% less likely to develop bladder cancer. Now let's talk about some of the specific parts of the body. Again, the blood. Makes sense, it's liquid, it's got to have water in it for the blood to flow. Even mild dehydration in your blood vessels makes them less springy. It's very important that your blood vessels are soft and springy. When they get hard, you can have all kinds of diseases, which also causes heart attacks, strokes, those kind of things. So skimping on water obviously leads to less blood in your body. It also can lower your blood pressure, which means you have low energy and might even faint. But while it's lowering your blood pressure, it's raising your heart rate, which is very dangerous. But do you know that let's say you're feeling tired, you're feeling kind of weak, you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't been drinking water. If you go and just drink some water, it only takes 15 to 20 minutes for your body to start feeling better. 15 to 20 minutes. It's going to perk you up. You know, Kevin knows I like to water my flowers outside. Sometimes I go outside and I tell the kids, if you see my flowers and they're like this, that means they need a drink of water. And you can give them a drink of water and they go like this. Well, you know what? Your body is the same way. It's going to respond to water. Now, boy, I know this one because I I wasn't born with bad lungs, but I think I shared with you maybe on design that I got a lung infection when I was 12, and it's really damaged my lungs. So I have problems with my lungs anyway, and so I have to drink a lot of water. In fact, I have to drink about double. The average adult needs to drink 2 liters of water a day. So you know the big soda bottles, big Coke bottles, that's 2 liters. That's how much water you need to drink every day. Now, if you're sweating and working outside, you need to drink more. Or if you have health problems like me, I have to drink 4 liters a day. Yeah, Byron's going, whoa, you're telling me, Byron. Everybody here knows that I have a hard time drinking 4 liters of water. I feel like I'm just drinking all the time. I got my bottle with me all the time because but if I don't, my earth suit's in trouble. And one of the reasons is my lungs, because drinking water helps thin the mucus out. You know when you get a cold and you've got all that all that congestion and you've got all the stuff in your head, you're trying to blow your nose and you're trying to cough it out. And when it's really thick, I don't know about you, but it's just like, it's thick like glue. And it's like you're coughing and you're trying to get it out. The more water you drink, the thinner it's going to be and the easier you can get it out. Because dehydration, not having enough water, the mucus gets thick and sticky, like I said, like glue. And then that slows down your breathing. It makes you get sick more easily. It can cause you to develop allergies and other respiratory problems. So I know that if I want to breathe, I have to drink lots and lots of water. I mentioned the brain before. Since your brain is mostly water, then it helps you in several ways. If you're drinking water, it improves your concentration and your cognition. It helps balance your moods and your emotions. And it helps you remember. You know those Form 4 exams you took? Water helps you remember the answers. It helps you to think. Just a 2% drop in body water. So if you were drinking pretty good, but you got busy, you forgot to drink some water, and it just dropped 2%. You get fuzzy short-term memory. You can have trouble with basic math and difficulty focusing on a computer screen or reading. Now just think, if you haven't been drinking 2 liters of water and you're more like 20% dehydrated, 40% dehydrated, 60% dehydrated, what does that do to your memory? What does that do to your focus? What does that do to your learning in school? Boy, I know this one too. Jerry knows I have trouble with my eyes. If I am not drinking plenty of water, then salt builds up in my body and my eyes are not hydrated. So I get dry eye, I get eye strain, I get puffy eyes. Now, hey, for our eyes, we also need to do things like eat a rainbow. You know the rainbow has lots of colors? Yeah, our food is supposed to have lots of colors. So a rainbow of, red, yellow, green bell peppers, tomatoes, carrots, spinach, skooma, sweet potatoes. These brightly colored fruit and vegetables are packed with eye-friendly vitamins and nutrients, mainly vitamin A. Make sure to eat a wide range of these fruits and vegetables to keep your eyes in good shape. So again, God's given us our eyes. How long do you want your eyes to last? I can tell you, I want my eyes to last my whole life. I've known people that have gone blind. My grandmother wasn't totally blind, but she was almost blind. She lost a lot of her eyesight before she died. I want my eyes to work my whole life. But we've got to eat and drink and do our part. What about our digestive system? I have trouble with this one too. That's why I'm drinking 4 liters of water. You need to drink water during and after a meal to aid digestion. Again, water's essential for good health. Water and other liquids help break down the food in your body so your body can absorb those nutrients. If the food is not getting broken down, you're not getting all the vitamins and minerals, all the nutrients and everything that your body needs. And it helps soften the stool so that the leftovers, the part that your body doesn't need, can be eliminated. You know, when I was 29, I found out that I was bleeding in my intestines. And that went on for 5 years. I almost died because I was just bleeding from my intestines. They said when they went in to look, you know, they have these little cameras. They can go inside and look. And in my colon, it looked like minced beef. Let me tell you what, your colon is not supposed to look like minced beef. It was a miracle I didn't die. It was a miracle I didn't get cancer. Now, there were a lot of reasons for why I was having that problem. But one thing to keep my colon healthy now is lots of water. You know, sometimes when you go to bed, you may feel hungry, or you wake up in the middle of the night and you feel hungry. Just drinking 1 glass of water will shut down the hunger pangs, whether it's from being hungry at night, fasting, dieting, any of those things. Our body is wanting water. Give it the water it needs. Well, what about your muscles? I know you guys especially, you know, you want to be strong, right? You want to have good muscles. Well, drinking water makes your muscles stronger too, because the water is carrying oxygen to the cells of your body, and that includes your muscles. So, for your muscles to work longer and harder before they feel tired, they have to have water. And so drinking lots of water will actually, if you're running or doing any kind of exercises and bodybuilding, give your body water. Again, even mild dehydration slows your metabolism down as much as 3%. So when you don't have enough water, you're just kind of sagging like those flowers. Just don't have enough energy. It's the number 1 reason for feeling tired in the middle of the day. It's just you need to go drink some more water. 8 to 10 glasses of water a day will significantly ease any kind of joint pain for up to 80% of the sufferers. Now, you guys may not be having trouble with that yet, but when you're older, or if you have parents or grandparents who are complaining of, you know, their joints aching, encourage them to drink water. Here's the problem. I mentioned tea, coffee, sodas. The problem with them, well, one of the problems with them, is they're called diuretics. Have you ever heard that word, diuretic? It means that when you drink coffee, tea, or sodas, they make you want to go to the bathroom. So instead of helping your body get more liquids, they're making you go to the bathroom and lose more. It's not that, okay, instead of 8 to 10 glasses of water, I'll just drink 8 to 10 sodas. No. That's not going to be the same. Because you'll still be dehydrated because your body's going, water, water. And you're giving it something else that's actually flushing water out of it rather than putting water into it. Now, think about your urine, or the next time you go to the bathroom. Look at your urine. It's supposed to be that color. It's supposed to be almost clear or very pale yellow, very, very pale yellow. The darker it gets, it means you're not getting enough water. Not getting enough water. Now, this chart, which is on your next page, it didn't fit on the front page, but it shows, according to your weight, how much water do you need to drink. So like I said, I don't weigh 117 kgs, but I have to drink 4 liters. But that's because of problems in my body. But you can look on here and see how much you weigh, and it'll tell you how much water you need to drink. And you're going to have to figure out how to keep track of that yourself. You might want to take a Coke bottle, an empty one, and fill it with water and say, okay, I've got to drink all of this today. You might want to drink out of that big bottle. You might want to pour it into a glass. I've tried a lot of things. Sometimes I set the alarm on my phone to remind me to drink. Sometimes you might want to say, you know what? Every hour during the day, I'm going to drink 1 glass of water. Well, if you drink 1 glass of water every hour, you're going to have plenty of water. Maybe you need a chart. Whatever you need to do to start drinking more water, you need to do it. I put this one first because the only thing that we need more than water is oxygen. But we've got oxygen. So unless for some reason you can't breathe and you need to be put on the oxygen mask and have oxygen forced into your lungs, you've got oxygen. But this is the first choice you get to make, because you can only live about 2 to 3 days without water. If you didn't have any water, you can only live a few days. But if you want to be strong, growing, not getting sick, if you want your brain working, your muscles working, your heart pumping, your blood flowing, then drink water. Drink. Of course, try to make it clean, pure water. Boil it. We use a water filter here. Sometimes I admit I just feel like I cannot drink any more water. So sometimes I'll put a little lemon in it or cucumber in water. It makes it taste, have a little better flavor, and the cucumber actually helps you too. So you can add a little flavor. Okay, let's go on to food. Now, I'm not going to say a lot about food. I mean, this is not a health class. I really hesitated to teach on this because I thought that everybody knows this stuff. But the longer I've been in Kenya, I've been here almost 14 years now, the more I found that no, everybody does not know this. Because do you guys have any kind of health class in school? I didn't think so. So they're not. See, in the U.S., there's a class called health, and they teach you this kind of stuff. They teach you about what to drink and how to exercise and all of that. But you guys aren't getting that. So I want to at least hit a few things, and so that you at least know to investigate it more, look on the internet, read some articles or whatever to help you understand this better. I'm certainly not a doctor and not a health guru, but I can tell you some basics. That's really what I'm doing. I'm saying, look, we got to do something to take care of our bodies. If we don't, we're going to die. So regardless of what God's plan was for our life and whatever great things He wanted you to do, you're not going to do it if you're dead or sick. Okay? So this is to help. Okay, first of all, we need to eat a balanced diet. A balanced diet means you're getting some protein, which is from meat or eggs. Some beans are also rich in protein. You're getting veggies, you're getting carbohydrates, you're getting some dairy. So, you're not eating all meat and nothing else. You're not eating all vegetables and nothing else. Your body can't work like that. It needs different foods to get different vitamins to make your body work. If you're missing it, again, the body can't do what it's supposed to do. When you're cooking the food, you don't want to undercook the food, especially meats, especially pork. If you eat any kind of pork, if you don't cook it well enough, there is something called trichinosis that can make you really, really sick. So you need to cook it so it's done, so that it's not going to make you sick. But you don't want to overcook things, especially vegetables, because if you cook and cook and cook them, you can kill all the vitamins. So that then you're not getting all the vitamins and nutrients you need from the vegetables. So you want your meat cooked. Different people like it different amounts of cooked. And your veggies still need to have a little crunchy to them so that you're getting your vitamins. It's important to refrigerate leftover meats and dairy. Now, I know that many people in Kenya don't have a refrigerator. But if you don't have a refrigerator, that means you need to eat all the meat. And you need to eat or drink, whatever the case may be, all the dairy, or it's going to ruin. And when it begins to decay, then if you eat it, that's one of the ways you get food poisoning. So, we're eating a balanced diet, not undercooking or overcooking, refrigerating, especially meats and dairy, so that it doesn't make us sick. And so we can get all the vitamins and minerals that we need from that food to give us the energy. I mean, I mentioned this before. Food is your fuel. If you have a car, and you have to put fuel in it or it's not going anywhere. Fuel is what makes the car go. If you run out of gas, you're going to have to get gas and put it in there, or the car is not moving. Well, it's the same way with our bodies. We have to fuel it, and the food is how we fuel it. Now, there obviously can also be problems with what we're eating. I mentioned food poisoning. If you eat food that has already begun to rot, basically, it's started to decay, and that's usually meat, but sometimes it can also be dairy. Then you get food poisoning. Let me tell you what, I got food poisoning one time in Europe. I was in the Czech Republic in Prague with my daughter, and we're still not sure what we ate. We had gone out to eat some Mexican food, Jerry, in Prague, and we had gone to get a milkshake. So it could have been the milk in the milkshake, or it could have been something in the Mexican food. But we both got food poisoning. I thought I was going to die. I mean, I was throwing up. And while it's coming out this end, it's coming out the other end. And my stomach just hurting, and you just can't function. And we weren't at home. You know how when you're sick you want to be at home, because at least you have your own bed and you know where things are. No, we were staying in a hostel. So there's no medicine, no ice, no hot water bottles. Bah, it was bad. And usually to get over food poisoning, you need an antibiotic. It's not even enough to just, get all the poison stuff out of your body. You need an antibiotic to kill the bacteria that has come in with that bad food. One of the problems with our diets is too much sugar, which leads to diabetes, and diabetes can kill you. I have known people who have died of diabetes because the diabetes, it affects how your body is doing the insulin, and then blood is not getting to your extremities. So very often people with diabetes end up having their fingers cut off, their feet cut off. One person I knew, they had their whole leg cut off because it had died because it wasn't getting the circulation because of diabetes. So if diabetes begins to kill your body and kill the organs in you. Some of you have gastritis. I know several people in the church who have gastritis. Sometimes gastritis is just temporary. It's just, you've got this something, whether it was something you ate or whatever, you've got this little tummy trouble. But gastritis can become a long-term problem, which causes pain, which causes all kinds of issues with the colon, which affects what food you can eat and can't eat. It becomes a big problem. And then these other three are usually problems for older people like me, but the problem is now that the younger generation is eating more and more sugar, candy bars, Cokes, potato chips, junk foods, too many carbohydrates, too much bread. They're also developing some of these other problems. High blood pressure is something now that my husband's dealing with. He's having to take medicine because his blood pressure was going too high. And when your blood pressure goes too high, it can kill your heart, it can kill your brain. That's what a heart attack and a stroke is. I'm dealing with high cholesterol. High cholesterol is when you're getting it's a lot of different foods can cause high cholesterol, especially butter. Jerry knows I like butter. But high fried foods, so anything with oil, what happens is it begins to build up in your body. And instead of your body, again, being able to flush it out, it builds up. And it builds up in your blood vessels. So if you have, most of the time, it doesn't seem to be happening with me, but they're worried about it. Usually when there's a test the doctor can give you to tell you what your cholesterol is. And it gets very complicated, because there's a good cholesterol and there's a bad cholesterol, and then there's a total cholesterol number. So you have to find out what your good cholesterol number is, and your bad cholesterol number is, and your total cholesterol number is. Anyway, they said mine's too high. Usually that cholesterol begins to coat your blood vessels. So let's say your blood vessel was this big, but it starts getting a coating inside. So now it's becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. Then that causes the high blood pressure, which again can cause you to have a heart attack or stroke. Now, as I said, not sure what the deal is or why, but my high cholesterol is not causing a problem with my blood vessels. So I don't have high blood pressure. So I don't know what it's doing. But that's something they're having to watch if I don't want to have a heart attack or a stroke. So I take medicine for that. Bone density is another problem for older people, because as you get older, your bones get older. And as your bones get older, they get more fragile. And if you're not getting enough calcium, if you're not eating enough foods that have calcium in it, then the bones can break very easily. Now, that's not always why bones break. I mean, I broke my leg 6 years ago. So I was 64. And I admit, when I broke my leg, I was worried because I thought, maybe this happened because I've got problems with bone density. There's a word for it called osteoporosis. You can hear the word porous in that, osteoporosis. So the bones are getting porous. Instead of being nice and hard, they're getting lighter. But the doctor said that they tested my bones and I had young bones, even though I was 64. That wasn't why I broke my leg. I broke my leg because I fell and broke my leg. But it wasn't because of the bone. But for many older people, that is what actually kills them. If you've ever had a grandparent or an older person that you know who has fallen, very often they'll fall and break their hip. And it kills them because the bone is so porous. So we don't want that to happen. We want to keep our calcium level up high so that our bones stay strong too. Exercise. Now, for young people, you guys usually don't have a problem with exercise. You're walking to school, you're walking home, you're walking. One great thing about Kenya is, well, at least it was true before everybody started buying a car, is most people walked. And walking is really the best exercise. Because walking gets your heart pumping, gets you breathing good. It exercises your arms, your legs. I mean, walking is a great exercise, and it's relatively safe. Some people fall when they walk, like me, but most people don't fall when they're walking. Whereas other forms of exercise is a harder strain on your body. For instance, if you're jogging, if you're running, that's a great exercise. It's especially great for your lungs and your heart and your leg muscles. But if you run too much all the time, then it can destroy your knees and your feet and your ankles. We had a friend. He was always out running. I mean, you knew Bill was going to be up, and first thing in the morning, he was going on his run. And so we thought, wow, this guy he's so athletic. He's so strong. He's going to do so great with his health. Well, not really, because he destroyed his knees and his feet and his ankles, so then he couldn't even walk. So you want to exercise, but the key word is moderation. We talked about a balanced diet, not eating too much of one thing. Well, exercise is the same way. You must exercise, especially as you get older. You guys, like I said, you're walking, you're going places, you're playing soccer. It's not too hard to stay in good shape. But girls, when you get out of school, you're not doing any sports. If you're not walking much, you have the first baby, you start putting on the pounds, you're not getting much exercise. Guys, you get a good job and you're sitting in an office and you buy a car, where's the exercise? So remember, you don't want to do too little, but be careful of doing too much. And remember that as you age, you want your bones to stay strong, you want your muscles to stay strong. Before my dad passed away, he was in a wheelchair. He couldn't walk at all. Before Les's dad died, he had a very, very small apartment. He said he had to try to get enough strength every day to walk from one side of the room to the other. You don't want to be like that. You don't want to be where you're in a wheelchair, where you're having to lay in bed all the time, where you can't walk. We've got to use our muscles. That's why I said use it or lose it. Use it or lose it. So we need to exercise. Now, here's something else that Kenyans don't know. You need sleep. Let me tell you what, this is the other reason that some of you did not do as well as you wanted on your final exams. Besides not having enough water, you didn't get enough sleep. Toddlers, 1 to 2 years old, are supposed to sleep 11 to 14 hours a day. Kids, little kids, 3 to 5, need 10 to 13 hours. Children, 6 to 13, need 9 to 12. Teenagers who are in secondary school need 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. Tell me, how much sleep did you get in Form 4? And then they wonder why you didn't do good on your exams. Even adults, most adults need 7 to 9. Now, my husband, his whole life really has gotten 6 hours sleep. He's the exception. And some adults need 10. So there's still a little bit of variation there. And as you get older, you do need a little less sleep. And part of that is because your body stops making melatonin. And melatonin is what helps you go to sleep. So most senior adults only need 7 to 8. But you know what? 7 to 8 for senior adults is more than most of you got in Form 4 as a teenager who's growing and who is having to use your brain a lot. If you don't get enough sleep, it causes all kinds of performance issues. Not only with school, not only with memory, but just being able to function and be clear in your thinking and what you're doing. And if you don't get any sleep, there are some circumstances where people are not getting sleep. You can only go a few days without becoming psychotic. Do you know what psychotic is? Psychotic is when you're crazy. It's when you're hearing voices that aren't there, you're seeing things that aren't there, you're paranoid, you're crazy. You lose your mind. It's only a few days without sleep. So it's very serious. I hope that at least now you're catching up on your sleep, but you needed it when you were going through exams. Well, let's talk for just a few minutes about things that what we've talked about so far are the things that we need to do with our body and for our body to keep it strong. So, drinking water, eating well, sleeping well, exercising. Okay? Now let's talk about a few other things, though, that are a danger. And a danger that affects a lot of people. There's a lot of things I didn't put on the list. I didn't put snakes on the list. But some people do die from snake bites. Okay, so be careful of snakes. But the main things I've put on here are things that kill a lot of people. Okay? So there's problems with medicines. Now, I take a lot of medicine. Jerry knows. I take a lot of medicine. I have medicines for everything. And so I use it. But I need to know, Jerry, what medicines go for what. What medicines am I supposed to be taking for what problem? And the main problem, one thing I have found here in Kenya is you go to a doctor, you tell a doctor you're sick, you go to a clinic, and they give you some pill, and you take it. And if I ask you, what is it? You don't even know the name. And if I ask you, well, what is it for? Half the time you can't even tell me that. Guys, this is your body. If you take the wrong medicine for the wrong thing, it's not the doctor who's going to die. It's you. And he'll say, wow, pole. Pole sana. Sorry. You need to know what the medicine is. What is its name? Look it up on the internet. It'll tell you. Any problems with it? It'll tell you when to take it. If you're like, well, did he say I was supposed to take it with a meal or not with a meal? That matters. Some medicines, you have to take it with food or it won't work. Or you have to take it with food or it'll make you sick. Or some medicines you can't take with food or it's going to dilute its effectiveness. So you've got to know, do I take it with food or without food? How many times a day do I take it? If you take it, if the medicine says that you're supposed to take it every 6 hours and you take it every 2, it can kill you. Okay? Or if it says take it every 6 hours and you take it once a day, it's not going to help you. So it's either not going to help or it could kill you. But you've got to take the medicine as it was prescribed. And you've got to be careful mixing it with other medicines. How many of you took chemistry? I think most of you took chemistry. Okay, if I take one pill and I put it into my chemistry lab, and I take another medicine and I put it in there with it, what's going to be the chemical reaction? Because that chemical reaction could kill me. I knew a young woman. She was about 23 or 24 years old. And she took 2 different headache pills. Headache pills. Panadol. You know, whether aspirin, Panadol, ibuprofen, they all have different names and they are a little different. But she took 2 different, she was having such a problem. She took 2 different kinds of headache pills at the same time that are not supposed to be taken together, and it caused her to bleed to death in a few hours. There went her earth suit. It's gone. Taking medicines with alcohol. Almost all medicines that the doctor gives you cannot be taken with alcohol. So there's all kinds of reactions. I was talking to somebody just the other day who said they took the medicine that the doctor gave them, and all of a sudden their whole body, they broke out in all this red, painful, itchy rash. That's an allergic reaction to the medicine. If you take it again, it could kill you. And it can kill you in just a few minutes. If you actually have an allergic reaction that's called anaphylactic shock, it will close your throat where you cannot breathe and you are dead in about 2 minutes. All gone. It's over. You need to know what is poisonous. Sometimes people eat and drink the dumbest things. There was a fad going around in the States. I haven't heard of it here. But they started making laundry detergent. So the soap that you wash your clothes with. They started making the soap, instead of in a powdered form, they made it in little, like, balls. It was a little packet. And so young people, especially teenagers and in secondary or in university, started daring each other to eat one of those. It killed them. Now, I don't know about you, but I know I'm going to die. We're all going to die. This is a perishable earthstone. It's only going to last so long. So I know I'm going to die. But I want to die for a good reason. I don't want to die for a stupid one. I don't want to die because I ate some soap. Is that a good reason to die? No. Another young woman I knew, I think she was 25. She got pneumonia. But, she didn't feel that sick. And because, she wanted to go to school and she wanted to go to work and she was going here and there and she liked to be with her friends. And so, I don't know if she didn't go to the doctor and didn't get any medicine, or she didn't take the medicine, or you know what we sometimes do? We go to the doctor and we get the medicine and we take the medicine, but we don't stop and rest. She died. She died from pneumonia, which for a 25-year-old is ridiculous, especially in America. Plenty of antibiotics, no reason to die. But if you don't take care of your earth suit, it will die. Obviously, addictions to alcohol, addictions to drugs, it's destroying your body. Smoking causes lung cancer. Vaping damages your lungs. Drugs destroy your brain and changes even your desire to work. People who take Bang, they're just feeling good. I mean, they're happy. I don't need to do anything. They're zoned out. If you do have any kind of problem with medicines that the doctor's given you, that you've bought at the pharmacist, the chemist, any kind of allergic reaction, call a doctor immediately, because you may have minutes before you won't be able to. Okay, a few things on safety issues. Again, I want you to stay alive. A big problem with safety issues are things around our house. One, gas leaks. Now, I don't think gas leaks are usually as deadly in Kenya as they are where I come from in the U.S. for this reason. Most of you live in houses that are not completely sealed up, meaning you've got doors open, you've got windows open, or your house isn't built real well, there's still some air coming in and out. And when it comes to gas leaks, that may save your life. Because in the U.S., if you have a gas leak, let's say we have gas stoves, Jerry. Let's say somebody turns the knob so gas is coming out, but nobody lit the match. The flame is not burning. That gas is just coming out into the air. It's going to kill you in just a few minutes, if it doesn't blow up the house. Because if somebody comes into the room and turns on a light switch, they could do the smallest thing that causes a spark, it will blow up everywhere that gas has been. So it will either kill you, it's called a silent killer, because gas, you don't smell it, you don't know it's leaking, you may be sitting there, standing there, you may be sleeping, and you are knocked unconscious and you die, and before you know it, you wake up dead. You wake up dead because you didn't know anything was wrong. Or it sets off a fire, which blows you up. Both are bad ways to die. I had an aunt who, when I was 15, she had a problem with her sink. It was all clogged. And she was on a Shamba. And her husband had gas tanks and stuff, and they're far from town, and he said, "Oh, I can fix that." So he decided to use a gas, not liquid fuel, but air gas, to blow out, to push through that clog in the sink. So he had put all this gas down in there, but it hadn't cleared the sink. Then he put some caustic chemicals. There's some chemicals you can buy. We usually use chemicals that you can put in there that will eat through the clog if it's food or grease or whatever. Well, mixing that caustic chemical with the gas caused the entire kitchen to ignite and blow up. She was in the other room and it blew off the kitchen door. The flame went through the house to where she was. She ran out of the house burning alive. Now, he was able to put the fire out. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. He was able to put the fire out that was burning on her. But she was in the hospital for I think almost a year. And she was very scarred and she had problems because of that the rest of her life. And she was young then. She was young. So we don't want that. Electricity. Now, one thing I have learned about Kenyans is you are afraid of electricity. That's good. Okay. No one wants to even clean near the electrical. But here's what you need to understand. If a cord is properly working and it's plugged in, there's no problem. There should be no problem with that electricity. But if there's open wires, the wires have become frayed, a wire is sticking out, maybe the cord has broken and so it's sticking out, that's where you will get electrocuted. If there are downed power lines, or if there's a power line, like there's some power lines out in front of our house, if you touch that power line, if you got on a ladder or something and you touch, you can die. You're not supposed to touch the power line. And water and electricity do not mix, because the electricity will go into the water and then everything the water is touching can kill you. So for instance, let's say we have a big rain and the streets are flooded, or there's a pond, there's enough water it makes a little lake by your house, and one of the power lines falls into that water. If you step in the water, you're going to die because it will electrocute you. Stanford's over here by an electrical outlet. If Stanford decided to take a metal pen and stick it in there, he's going to be electrocuted because you don't put metal. So you don't mix water and electricity, and you don't stick metal into one of those circuits, because that electricity is going to travel into that metal and into you. Now, I think you guys are smart enough to know that, but I want you to fast forward yourself 10 years from now, and you're married and you have small children. Guess what little kids like to do? They like to stick things into holes. So if you have a small child and they don't know that, and they take a fork, let's say they were eating dinner and they take a fork and they stick, you can lose your child. Because they don't know that that's how they could die. I had a wall heater one time. It was a heater on the wall and it had little slots in it. And two of my kids, they were little, but they weren't real little. I would have thought they would have known better. But they were like, I don't know, 5 and 6 or something like that. And they were taking coins. They were taking coins and putting those coins in the heater. And one day, those coins and the electrical connected, and it started a fire. We're going to talk about fires in a minute. So, again, that you just never know what kids can do. What about storms and lightning? Lightning is an electrical charge. You probably covered that in science. Well, that electricity is coming down to the ground, and it's usually looking for the tallest thing. So if the tallest thing it finds is that tree out there, and you're standing under the tree or by the tree, you're probably going to get hit by lightning. If there's an open field and you're the tallest thing standing there, you may get hit with lightning. If you're walking along the street and you're holding a metal umbrella, you can get hit by lightning. So, storms and lightning are dangerous. They tell you that if there's a storm going on in your area and you're hearing thunder and there's lightning, don't take a shower. Because again, if you're in the water, in the shower, and lightning hits your house, you're going to be dead. You're going to be dead. If this water has flooded into your house and you've got electrical things like this on the floor, then the water and the electricity can come together, and anybody who touches that water, you step into that water, you're gone. You're gone. It usually kills you. Some people have been hit by lightning or electricity and have lived, but most don't. Last year we had one of the Kenya Power and Light guys come, and he was just, there wasn't even anything broken. That's what was so sad. There was nothing broken on the electrical. But he had come out to check one of the lines here on our street, there by the guard station for Palm Court where you come in. He was just checking the line. And he had said that he had turned off the electricity. Well, I don't think they ever did figure out what happened, because when he touched the line, it was live and he was dead. And he left a wife and 4 little kids. If you use your cell phone while it is plugged in, the electricity can travel and kill you or burn you badly while you're holding your cell phone. So unplug it before you use it. Charge it, but then unplug it before you use it. Traffic accidents. A lot of people are killed in traffic accidents. The more cars there are here in Kenya, the more people are killed in traffic accidents. If you're riding in a car, wear a seatbelt. Most people, some people are killed in a car wreck wearing their seatbelt. It depends on how bad the car wreck is. But again, a lot of people die, and the wreck was not that bad. The traffic accident was not that bad. But if you're thrown out of the car, one of my good friends, one of my best friends, died when she was 18 years old because she was in a small car accident, but she didn't have a seatbelt on. She was thrown out of the car, hit her head, died. Another good friend, riding on a boda, no helmet. Bodas are dangerous, guys. Think about it. At least when you're in a car, you're surrounded by several tons of metal that are around you and protecting you. But a boda, there is nothing protecting you, and you're going at high speed. So if the boda hits something, if something hits the boda, if you fall off the boda, if you've thrown off and you don't have a helmet, chances are you're going to die because of severe head trauma to your brain. So, seatbelts for cars, helmets on bodas. If you're walking, things to be careful of when you're walking. Number one, I don't want to sound racist, but you're black. At night, it's black. If a black person is wearing black clothes, walking in the dark, your chances of being hit are really increased. So if you're going to be out at night, try to be wearing a lighter color where you show up in the headlights. I have a friend here in Mountain View. Her 23-year-old son was killed right out here on Waiyaki Way. Coming home, walking across the traffic, a car hit him, did not even stop. Hit and run. They just kept going. So he laid there and bled and died. It's safer. Now, some of the neighborhoods have sidewalks, and if it has a sidewalk, then that helps. If there's not a sidewalk, you're safer walking against traffic. So, for instance, if the cars are driving on the left and you're walking on the left, then a car hitting you from behind, so that again you wake up dead, you'll never know what hit you. Whereas if you are, since the cars are driving on the left, if you're walking in the opposite direction, you at least can see when a car is coming at you. And you might be able to jump out of the way. So that's just a tip. Obviously, be careful of isolated areas. You guys know better than I do how many bad guys there are out there. And when you're in an isolated area, whether it's a wild animal or a wild person, it's dangerous walking. Main injuries are either internal bleeding or external bleeding. You can only lose so much blood and you're going to die. And depending on which, if you have a main artery, your jugular vein, the main vein in your leg, you will be dead in about 2 minutes. 1 to 2 minutes. You will lose enough blood that you're dead. Broken bones. And again, sometimes the problem is just the broken bone. Sometimes it's the bone breaks and cuts the artery, and then you bleed to death. So, traffic accidents are very, very deadly. Let's go through the fire safety really quick. The main deaths do not come from being burned to death. Main deaths from fires is from breathing the smoke. Did you know that? A lot of times if the fire breaks out, especially at night, and you're sleeping, you're breathing in the smoke, and you never wake up. You never know there was a fire. If you do wake up, or it's during the day, and there's smoke, you need to do 2 things. If you can, if you're near a sink, take a piece of cloth, wet it, and put it over your face. It's going to work as a mask to keep the smoke out, to keep you alive until you can get out of the building. But usually you're going to have to crawl out. Why? Because heat rises, smoke rises. If you try to walk out, you may still breathe in enough smoke that you pass out before you get clear and you get away from the fire. But if you get down and you crawl, you're able to crawl under the smoke so that you can still breathe oxygen until you can get out. Obviously, the second reason for death in a fire is you do get burned. If you catch on fire, we have a saying in the U.S. that has helped so many people. Stop, drop, and roll. Have you heard that? Have you ever heard of stop, drop, and roll? Nobody looks like they have. Okay. What it means is, your first impulse when you're on fire, and this is what my aunt did, is you run. That's the worst thing you can do. Because when you run, feel that air? Feel that air? Yeah. And what fuels fire? Oxygen. So, you run, you're going to catch more on fire. You're going to burn faster. If you stop and you drop and you roll, it can put out the fire. That can put out the fire. Just stopping and dropping and rolling on the ground can put out the fire. If it doesn't, or if there's a blanket near you, put the blanket on you. Or maybe it's your mom or your sister that's burning. Grab a blanket, a bedspread. It might be a carpet. Anything. Put it over them and begin to pat it. Because what you're doing is you're smothering the fire. You're keeping the fire from getting any oxygen, and it'll go out. Now, they may be burned still a little, but there's a big difference between 3rd degree, 1st degree, 2nd degree burns. So a little is a lot more survivable than a deep, deep burn. if you're in a second-story house or office, you need to know when to get out. Now, we've talked about crawling out. If you're close to a door, it's not too hard to get out. Let's say, Jerry, that Nana's house sitting room is on fire, and you wake up and realize it. Well, that's not so hard for you to go from your bedroom out the door because the fire's over here. Even if the fire's in the kitchen, it's not too hard to get from the bedrooms, and most fires do start in the kitchen, but it's not going to be too hard to get out. But if the fire started in your bedroom, and let's say it's near the door, you need to go out the window. Do not even try to go out the door. You've got to get out the nearest exit. Now, the problem, I can already tell you, Dad and I are going to be roasted alive. Why? Look at all these iron bars. All these iron bars are great if you've got thieves trying to break in. But if there's a fire and you need to get out, you can't. So again, depending on where the fire is, if the fire was in the kitchen, then we probably could get down the stairs and go out the front door. But if the fire was in his office, or in our room, or on the stairs, we can't get out because of the iron bars. We need to get a fire extinguisher. I haven't even seen a fire extinguisher in Kenya. I guess they sell them. I don't know. Anybody seen one? Oh, there are. Okay, we need to get some then. We need to get at least one for our kitchen, one for your kitchen, maybe one upstairs. But we need to get some fire extinguishers because that is a quick and easy way to stop a fire. You also need to check electrical connections. If you see, we've had some things, haven't we, Kevin, where some of the outlets were burned and some of the plugs were melted into them. That's a real bad sign. We're just thankful it didn't catch on fire and we didn't burn because something's wrong with that and we had to call the electrician to come and fix it because shouldn't be like that. So maintaining electrical, not letting grease build up in a kitchen. Those kind of things. Not keeping, Dad's real big, you guys know, on don't put flammable things out here by our cans of gasoline or the generator. Because, again, papers, cardboard, straw, the baskets, any of those things could catch on fire and start a fire. Candles are dangerous. Obviously, there's a lot of times when the electricity goes off and we have to use a candle. But if you have candles, watch them. Be sure they don't get knocked over. They're not catching something on fire. If little kids are around, oh my gosh, yeah. Don't let the little kids near the candles. Be sure the candles are blown out before you go to sleep. Those kind of things. And especially, again, with small children, if you have younger brothers and sisters, or when you have kids, you've got to be sure you don't have gasoline, matches, electrical starters, anything like that that kids can reach because they want to play with them. They don't understand this is life and death. I remember one time my little brother, I think he was about 3 or 4 years old. He and his little buddy, they found some matches, so they decided they were going to build a campfire. Yeah, a campfire in the middle of the carpet in his bedroom. So my mother goes in there and the carpet's on fire, and I mean, they didn't understand they could burn down the whole house and kill everybody. Well, how do you put fires out? 3 things. You need to starve it, which means remove the fuel. If it's a gas fire, turn off the gas. If it's electrical, turn off the electricity. If it's a regular fire, flame fire, you want to starve out the oxygen. You want to remove the heat, so you want to cool it, and you want to remove the oxygen, like I said, smother it. So if you're putting out a kitchen fire, you've got to turn off the oven, you've got to turn off the oxygen, you've got to turn off the electrical, call the fire department, put a lid on it. It may be just a pan that's on fire. I have to admit to you guys, I'm something of a fire expert because I've started so many fires. So one of the fires I started, I put a pan of water on, Jerry, to heat, and then I went and forgot all about it. And the fire burned through the pan. I mean, you know how heavy pans are. It burned through the pan and caught it on fire. So it could be fire that is starting because of the food burning, or you can actually burn through the whole fire, the pan. That was really bad. Another time, you know the big wood blocks that we put the knives in? I caught one of those on fire one time because it was sitting on top of the stove, and I had a self-clean oven. So I had turned this oven on, and when it self-cleans, it goes to like 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And it caught the wood block on fire. And so here's this wood block burning on my stove. I was able to put that out with water. I already told you about the time with the kids putting the money in the heater on the wall. I had to call the fire department for that one. My mom, when I remember I was 8 years old, and we had a fireplace, and my mom wanted to have a fire. And so she put the wood and stuff in the fire, and there was a can, and she thought it was gasoline, which would have been bad enough. Not a good idea, especially inside a house. But it wasn't gasoline, it was kerosene, which was even more flammable, so that when she lit the match, it blew up and caught her hair and eyelashes, eyebrows on fire. So her skin didn't get real burned, but it burned her hair. It could have killed her. So again, you want to put the lid on if the pan is still intact and starve out the fire. The other thing great to use in a kitchen is baking soda or salt. If it's a grease fire and you have baking soda or salt and you put that on the fire, it will help. A lot of times water will not help. Water won't help with a grease fire. So if you think pouring water on it's going to help, it will not. It will spread the fire because oil and water don't mix. So the water's not going to put the fire that's going on in the oil, it's not going to put it out. It's just going to spread the oil, which is going to cause a greater fire. Always call the fire department if it's an electrical fire. Because, again, that can be deadly. That can be deadly to you. What about putting out a campfire? Now, it's not just going camping, but I know a lot of you may even cook outside with the 3-stone method and a sopharia, and so you're cooking outside. Well, the problem is a lot of times you leave that fire, but depending on paper or pieces of wood or the amount of wind there is, it can spread that fire. So you need to be sure that the fire has been extinguished before you leave it. You need to pour lots of water on it to put it out. You may use dirt or sand on it to put it out. And you need to be sure it's cold before you leave it. Because this brings me to my other fire experience. I caught my yard on fire. I wanted to burn some taka, not papers, but the clippings, the wood, some of the trimmings. So I made a pile and I burned it. Well, I thought it was all burned. But did I pour water on it? No. Did I wait until it was cool so I knew it was out? No. So I took my kids somewhere, not too far away, but I took my kids to a park. And one of my neighbors found me and said, Twyla, this was before cell phones, Twyla, you've got to get back home. You caught your yard on fire and the fire department is there and the fire marshal is ready to kill you. And he was. And wouldn't you know, he lived on my street. So he saw that I was dumb enough to burn something in my yard and not put it out properly. And he never liked me after that. So, but at least I didn't burn down the house and I didn't burn down anybody else's house. But I could have, because I didn't put the fire out right. If you're dealing with a brush fire, because that was, you might call it a campfire, but it really quickly spread to a brush fire where other things then were being caught on fire. And, this could happen here in Nairobi. It could happen up country. And you think of how much wood and how many flammable things there are, both either in Kangemi, where people are living close together. One person's house gets on fire, it burns it all. There was a big fire there. How long ago was that? Not long ago. Because they asked for a collection. We took up a collection of clothes and shoes and stuff to take to the people. Because one thing caught on fire and it destroyed, I can't remember how many homes and how many businesses. It spread very quickly. And up country where it can be dry and there's a lot of trees and bushes and stuff, it can be even worse. So if you have a shovel or something, they're showing it. Yeah, we all have one of these in our yard to stop a fire. I don't know what that's about. But if you have a shovel or anything to make a fire break, a fire break is where you've cleared enough land around the fire that it's not going to be able to jump from here over and keep going. Because sometimes it can just keep spreading. Even this last year, when it was so dry, they had fires in Western Kenya that were just where the grass was just catching on fire by itself. Not a match, not lightning. It was so dry and so hot, it was just catching on fire. And that can spread and destroy acres and acres of land, as well as animals and people. So you can try to make a fire break, you can try to use water. Again, you have to call the fire department or somebody to get help, because that will get out of hand very, very quickly. I'm going to let Jerry handle the discussion at the beginning of tomorrow's, because we've used almost all of our time. But any questions for me in this next, we've got 10 minutes. Any questions for me or anything else that maybe has happened in your family where someone died, or something else that you think we should mention in terms of a way that people can be killed for no good reason? No good reason. They're really quiet for me, Jerry. Okay. Really loud. In fact, come up here, Kevin. Come up here.
Yes, my question really is, what happens when you are burned with tea or maybe porridge or something that is hot? Your first action to do it, do you sprinkle yourself with water? Or you go to somewhere cool? What's the first action when you are burned?
Okay. That's a great question, because it might not kill you, but it really hurts and you need to soothe that burn. There are several things. Obviously, cold water helps. If you have ice, that's even better. Something else that is really good for a burn is not what you would think, and that's flour, regular wheat flour. If you have some wheat flour for making bread, just put some flour on it, and that will soothe it. Now, depending on how bad the burn is, you may need to see a doctor, and if you have any antibiotic cream to put on it later, because do you know the largest organ in our body? Do you know what the largest organ in our body is? It's our skin. Think about it. Your skin covers your whole body. And one of the functions of our skin is to protect us, to keep infections out. So any kind of cut, any kind of opening in our skin is a place where germs and infection can come in. And especially a burn, Kevin. So a burn opens up an area where the burn might not kill you, but it's letting in germs and other things that could make you really sick or kill you. So you may need an antibiotic cream and stuff to cover that, to protect you until it's healed. That's a great question. I hope it was new information. Information that will help you and people you love stay alive. Because there's a lot of things that can kill us. You know, we're not invincible. Our bodies are strong. Our bodies were given to us by God, but there's a lot of things that can hurt and damage our bodies. And some of those things we don't have any control on. You know, if an airplane crashes into your house, you couldn't help that. But if it's the water we're not drinking, or good food we're not eating, or we're not exercising, or we do stupid things with electricities or fires or car accidents or boat to boat as well, then that's our fault. So let's try to be smart, use common sense, and maybe this has given you some more information so that you can partner with God and stay alive to fulfill His future and promise for you. Okay? Okay, let's pray. Lord, none of us know how long we're going to live. Your word says that in your book was written all the days of our lives. You know when we were born, and you know when we're going to die. But we don't. And Lord, we do want to die for a good reason, not a stupid one. We want to live long enough to fulfill our destiny, to fulfill the plans that you have for us. And so, Lord, I pray that you would just give us wisdom and bring these things back to mind when we're in a storm, or we're in an emergency, or there is a fire, or there's smoke, or whatever it is. Bring these things back to our mind. Lord, each of these people are so precious to you. And I love them too. And I don't want to see anybody here killed because they just mixed some wrong pills together, or ate something that was poisonous, or any of the things we've talked about. So Lord, we know that you are faithful. You're going to do your part. You're the good partner. You always keep your promises. You do protect us. You do look after us. You are our healer. You do strengthen us. But Lord, we just confess to you that sometimes we're not doing our part. And then we wonder why it doesn't come out good. Or we blame you when it was really our fault for not doing what we were supposed to do. So Lord, I just pray that you would write this message, even though it's practical stuff, it's not very spiritual, and yet it is, because it will keep us alive so that you can do with us what you want to do. So I just thank you for this opportunity to share. In Jesus' name, amen.